Neighbourly Tales. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, please do so that you don't miss another episode going forward. This is Ajay, your host, an ordinary maverick, sharing real life thoughts and experiences and maverick tips. Neighbors are like family, right? We are social beings, and one cannot overemphasize the importance of being in a community. And of course, it starts with knowing your neighbors. Well, we spent a fair amount of our time growing up in a large metropolitan city in India. This was the urban jungle living in apartments, in communities and societies. Everyone knew everyone, but at the same time, everyone minded their own business, more or less. Now that's something, right? But when you are living in a fast-paced world, you strike the balance between what's important and a priority and what's essential. And while you connect with everyone and live in the same community, you do not interfere in their daily lives. I guess the learnings from that experience has stayed with us throughout our lives. We have moved several times, as I've shared earlier, and each time we move, we kind of start over, settling in the new place, understanding the lay of the land, and then, of course, getting to know our neighbors. One experience always stands out for us. We moved cities in India some years back. Now, we were coming from Mumbai city, where space is a premium. Everybody and anybody kind of lives vertical, something similar to what one sees in New York or any other big city. But here in Mumbai, the community feeling runs strong and is reinforced by celebrating festivals together. You might have heard about the big festivals in India where the entire city, in fact, the country comes together. And we were moving to another city in India which was more spread out. And the neighborhood we found a place to stay had rows of streets and individual houses. We moved in, and the initial days were kind of spent, busy unpacking our shipment and generally settling in. Being in individual houses meant that we never really saw our neighbors, and at first that was fine, but as time passed on, we were kind of, speaking about it and felt a bit odd that we didn't quite know who was living next to us. It was a bit of a stalemate as we didn't quite know how to break the ice. In high-rise buildings, it may be easier. You kind of meet people in the elevators or in the parking lot, etc. But when you live in individual houses, that can kind of get more difficult. Well, an opportunity came up and we maxed it. It was a festival that we always celebrated at home. For those who are aware of some of the Indian festival, this is Lord Ganesha's birthday. Lord Ganesha's blessings are invoked by a majority of folks for every new venture that Indians take up. Now, this is one festival that has a strong community feeling brought to the fore during India's struggle for independence. The festival days are literally open days at home, and with the doors open, anyone can come in and enjoy the festivities and some great food. Our problem was that we didn't know any people out here, and this festival was not as big as it was in the city from where we were coming. So we decided, let's just go and say hi to all our neighbors and get to know them while inviting them to our place for a festival. We went around the neighborhood, rang every bell, introduced ourselves and shared the invite, little realizing that this was the first time anyone had done anything like this before in the neighborhood. It did break the ice, and it also made us famous, kind of. The entire street, all our neighbors came to our place and we celebrated together. In fact, very interestingly, many of the families met for the first time at our house, despite having stayed in the neighborhood for ages. In the subsequent years that we stayed there, as the time for the festival drew near, our neighbors themselves started reaching out and checking on the festivities and, checking with us how they could contribute. It became a tradition. And then all festivals started to be celebrated together on our street. We all got to know each other, and it was a fabulous time that we had together. Many of the families are still connected with us and definitely reach out during that time of the festival and still recalling the amazing time that we all had together. That's connections, the feeling of togetherness, of connectedness. Here's another key maverick tip. Being true and falling forward cannot be done completely alone. One needs the support system and the confidence that comes with being connected with family, our trusted inner circle, and our friends and neighbors. The trusted inner circle is key. More about that in another episode. Neighbors help in building relationships and friendships. Another incident comes to mind. We had just moved to South Africa. We had heard stories about the crime there and been through some security briefings to understand it better and be on the alert. One such red alert was that never to open the gate to anyone you do not know, particularly when it's unplanned. Well, just a few weeks old in the country and recently moved into our new home there. When one evening around 7 p.m., our buzzer rings and rings continuously. We wonder, as no one was really expected. We speak into the gate intercom and hear a panicked female voice saying, "We are being mugged, please let us in. We are your neighbors." And the frantic voice says, "That is just me and my grandma." Now, we had been told during our security briefings that all ploys would be used to get you to open your gate. We didn't know what to do, as the voice over the intercom sounded scared. We spoke again over the gate intercom and then went with our gut. Opened the gate, got the young girl and the old woman in our house, sat them down, gave them some water, and reassured them that they were safe. And within moments, the rest of their family was there and the police arrived as well. Turns out it was all genuine. They were our neighbors, and yes, they were being mugged. They had seen two men enter their home, and these two women escaped through the adjoining side door and came to us neighbors for help. They knew someone had moved in recently, but they didn't know us. They were so grateful to us and that we opened the gate and let them in. They did admit that not many people would have done that. But as a result, we became great friends throughout our stay in that neighborhood and, kind of watched out for each other going forward. In fact, our friends came over once when our dogs had an allergy to a bee sting, and they helped out immediately as our girls were alone at home at that point in time. You know the saying, what goes around comes around. That's what happens with neighbors. We learn about trust, dependency in a nice way, friendship, and many times understanding different cultures and traditions, and it's beautiful. Here's another interesting fact. There's evidence to show that there is a positive relationship between life satisfaction and individuals' feelings of belonging to their community and whether they know their neighbors. Even saying hello and waving and smiling can have a positive impact on our well-being. This is increasingly becoming even more important in today's growing digital world. So, go out there, say hello to your neighbors, and if you don't know them, find a way. You will not regret it. A loud shout out to folks who have written to me at theordinarymaverick@gmail.com and expressed your interest to join me in one of the episodes. We will revert back to you shortly. Write in your comments, share your feedback. This is Ajay, your host, signing off. Stay well, stay safe.